I was definitely not the kind of person who set a lot of records, especially when I was in school. And so my parents were like, how are you going to go to college? Because I wasn't super sporty. I was like 200 pounds at like in third grade. And I wish I was lying there. So I wasn't ever into anything really sporty, so obviously I wasn't going to get a scholarship that way. And I also wasn't like valedictorian. I wasn't a genius. I mean, I was relatively bright, but, I stopped taking math after like 3 years because my head exploded during an Algebra 2 exam, and I started sobbing and threw up in the trash can and came back in class, and it was a huge mess. And so I was like, okay, so I'm not sporty, I'm not smart. And my parents were like, you got to have something. And so I was like, all right, I'll be super dramatic. So, of course, I got into theater. And my mom decided to sign me up for an audition for some little musical, the all-school musical, when I was in 4th grade, and the rest is just history. And so another thing that you should know is that so the place where I grew up was a kind of a small town within the larger area, within the larger city. And so a lot of the people that I was going to 1st grade with, I was seeing on graduation day as well. But once you entered 6th grade, kind of like moved on to the middle school, and then especially in high school, we got a bunch of more inter-district transfers, and your friend group grows, and then the talent pool grows, and of course, with friends and with talent, there grows some competition. And I had this one, my mother likes to call him my adversary to this very day, and I'm gonna call him Jimmy. But he was very talented, very ambitious, very devoted, very dedicated to his art, but I mean, he was a show-off. I mean, there wasn't any really nice way to put it, and show-off is like the gentle, on the back burner, at a simmer kind of word description for what he was. I mean, he would be like, we took tap dance classes together. I know, imagine me in tap shoes. It's quite something. But he'd be like sitting there doing like Shirley Temples or something, and I'm like, wow, you must have practiced that a lot. And he's like, no, I just pick it up really fast. Like, he always had to draw the conversation back to like his successes. Like, well, when I was in New York and doing this, or when I was shaking hands with Obama, or when I, was doing here's the case in point of what kind of guy this person was, Jimmy was. He would like leave newspapers around with like his picture in them, and then he would come in and be like, oh, apparently there was an article on me because I got this particular scholarship, and I was like, apparently you sat down for an interview, and apparently your mom sent a bunch of pictures to you. Like, do you just sit and look thoughtful and let other people like take pictures of you randomly, and you're like, oh, I'm so surprised to see them in the newspaper. Anyway, so this was the kind of guy that this person was. Like, he was just very ambitious and very involved in his own successes, very talented. But I was not that kind of person. I was like, I'll be successful if it works out. And so while I'm getting into theater, especially as I get into high school, I'm like, okay, this is like probably going to be my thing now, which was another thing when you grow up in a small town. It's like when you know a bunch of people, everyone kind of has a thing, and theater was my thing, capital TH and all. And so when I entered this drama program when I got into high school, the big thing that came was when I was a freshman, we went to watch all the sophomores, juniors, and seniors do this like school-wide competition that was all about speaking Shakespeare. And I love Shakespeare. I'm such a freaking nerd about it. Like, my parents just raised me on watching BBC BBC programs, and I'm super excited to watch Midsummer Murders over Thanksgiving holiday. I'm so excited for that. I'm really excited for The Crown if anybody's gonna watch it. But so I ate this stuff up, and I remembered going as freshmen, and there was a school-wide competition, and they'd all present these monologues and these sonnets that they'd been working on for the whole semester, and it was about learning the language and learning the music and just the rhythm, and just I ate this stuff up. I mean, it was great. And I remembered sitting there and watching it, and everybody who won that, there were 2 winners every year, and they would be sent to a regional competition which would happen kind of like in the greater San Diego area. So it would be all of these people from all of these different schools, and they'd be competing for a chance to go and compete nationally in New York. And you'd perform at Lincoln Center, you'd perform for amazing judges. It was incredible. It was an amazing experience. People got scholarships, people got recognition. You had an incredible thing to put on like your college resume. And so I was like, oh man, wouldn't that be cool? And I remembered going to this when I was a freshman, and you got to just sit and watch because you didn't start learning Shakespeare until you were a sophomore. And so I remembered watching all of these people, and Jimmy was one of the finalists in the school-wide competition, and he and another girl went to the regionals. I was like, damn, that would be so freaking cool. That would be so cool to go. And I later on sophomore year, and another thing is that winning as a sophomore and going to the competition was kind of a big deal. Like, it was usually juniors or seniors. Most of the time it was two seniors. Like, so a sophomore, winning that was kind of like, whoa, unheard of. Number one, record set. I was like, damn, frack. So thank you for that, Battlestar Galactica. But so sophomore year comes along and we start learning Shakespeare, and I am stoked. I am so into this because, like, when I was in high school, like, I had a whole other person on me. I was about like another 110 pounds over what I am right now. And I was just like, everything, like, people were like, oh, she's chubby. We're immediately gonna like make her old in anything that we cast her in. So I was playing old people, like mothers, like 50-year-old women, older sisters. I played Lady Bracknell at one point in the Importance of Being Earnest. I was great, Lady Bracknell. I was awesome. But I was like, oh my gosh, the first time in a really long time where I don't have to play an old person. And I can play someone who's like relatively my age. So I was doing Queen Margaret from Henry VI, Part 3, and she has this speech where she's just on fire. And I got so into it, and I loved it. I loved the music. I loved my teacher. I loved what it meant. I loved that I got to be something that I felt more connected with. And I went up there, and I fucking blew it out of the water. It was great. It was awesome, and I won. I won that round. It was me, and it was fucking Jimmy. And Jimmy and I were going to regionals, and I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Oh, man, what an awesome opportunity. So he had been there the year before. And of course, he is also the kind of person who felt that it was his God-given duty to dole out advice. Y'all have those friends who, like, give out advice when you really don't want it. You're like, I know that you're coming from a place of care, but I don't care about what you have to say about the subject. I don't want your advice. I'd rather fail. Yeah. I'd rather fail than listen to you go on for another second. But he would just come in and just drawl and just, sugarcoat everything and be like, well, when I was here last year. And I'm like, you're 9 months older than me, asshole. Like, you don't know shit. And so we go to this regionals competition, and the day arrives, and I'm so excited, and I get there, and I am immediately out of my depth. Everyone is in their Sunday best. I am in like jeans and gruddy Converse, and like I wear a size 11 shoe, by the way. I'm shaped like an L, so it's not like I can even pull it up. Yeah, imagine it, everyone, just an L. That's me. I'm wearing heels right now, so I'm cheating. So I'm just completely underdressed, and I'm like, oh, fuck. Oh, my God. There's like 30 of us or something. I'm the second to last person before the first break, so I'm immediately ignorable. And I'm like, oh, God, they're just gonna automatically dumb me down because I'm I'm the 200-pound, 15-year-old in jeans and a maternity Macy's shirt and gruddy Converse. Like, that is me. And I was like, well, fuck it, I heard it. He didn't win, so just throw it out there. And so I went and I killed it, and it was great. And I was like, I just went and I sat down, and the girl next to me was like, that was really good. And I was like, oh, thank you. And we had a break, and immediately Jimmy comes up and he tries to drawl all over me about, like, that was great, but, and I was like, just turned it off, just kind of standing there and nodding. And then we continue with the round, and the next 15 or so people go up, and he goes up, and he's very talented, but he's a white guy, and he plays Aaron the Moor. Yeah. Which, for those of you who don't know Shakespeare, Titus Andronicus, or Othello, a Moor is a black person, and this guy is like milk. Just so white. And I didn't really register it at that time, but I think now in my later years, I'm like, oh, I understand. I get it now. But so he went up, and then they have their little debate. The judges have their debate, and they come up with the finalists. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm talking. I'm making friends with everybody. And there are 5 finalists, 3 other people, me, and Jimmy. And I'm like, oh, shit. Okay. this is getting a little real, okay? And they say, all right, so we're gonna have you redo your pieces, and then we're gonna have you do a cold read. And I mean, the words cold read exactly that. Just a chunk of ice just develops in your stomach. I'm like, a cold read for Shakespeare? Are you shitting me? Okay. And so they hand us our paper, and I'm like, it's a cold read from A Winter's Tale. Anyway, so they say, go on, have your 5 minutes, deal with the text, come back and dazzle us. And so I'm going back there and I'm reading it and I'm sweating bullets. I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do? I don't know the play. I don't know. And I'm like circling my operatives, and I keep hearing like Jimmy's words in the back of my head, and him like trying to give me all this advice. And I'm just like, again, I already don't have the part. I already don't have the job. I've already lost. The best thing you can probably do is what every acting teacher will tell you to do. You walk out there and you make a choice. And if you walk out there and you throw your choice down, you let the chips fall, because that's all you can do. You just go, I hope I connected with you. Good luck finding whoever you need. So I went out there and I just looked down at my operative words and I killed it. And I felt so good at the end, because this was also the first time that my parents were ever seeing me act in anything other than me being like a 50-year-old woman. So this for them was kind of like oh, wow, okay. You know that she could? No, oh, me neither. Okay, and I did it, and I felt so good at the end. I was just like, fuck it, it's over. I practically threw the paper behind me with all the words on it as I went downstairs, and I get down, and I remember my mom coming up to me when she had tears in her eyes. She was like, "Honey, we didn't know you could do that." And I was like, "Oh, wow," and then. Jimmy goes up and he does his, and everyone else goes up and they do theirs, and it was wonderful. And it was one of the best experiences of my life, just to be up there and be on the stage and to be with everybody, be with all of this incredible talent. And then we take a little break there, and I've just kind of forgotten about everything, and they say, all right, everyone, we're gonna announce our winners. And they say, second place, we say, runner-up first, and then we say first place. And they say the runner-up is Jimmy, wonderful. And everyone is clapping, and I'm like, this is amazing. What a cool opportunity. And they said, and we're sending Olivia to New York. And I was like the world disappeared. And it was like this big foggy kind of boom came over my ears, and I was just blood drained from my face. And I remembered looking up at the stage and seeing Jimmy, and he's got these huge blue eyes, like very protuberant, almost like BJ Novak kind of eyes, those big eyes. And I remember being able to see the whites on top of and below each iris as he looked down at me like, what? kind of. And then I thought, as I walked up the stage for a moment, I was like, is he gonna push me off the stage? Nope. And then he gave me a big hug, and I'll never forget the sound of his laugh in my ear. But I was going to New York. I couldn't believe it. It wasn't until 3 days later that I found out that I was the first person in 15 years from our school to make it to nationals. And I was like, you picked the girl in the tennis shoes and the jeans to go to New York. I'd say that's a record smashed. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, give it up for Olivia O'Connor. Woo!